Hey everybody, it's almost noon. It's time for Straight Talk. I still kind of sound like a man, so I'm getting over the worst sickness ever. Well, it's not the worst sickness ever. It's the worst head cold. Let's keep it in perspective. I've been sick for about a week. I thought I was getting better over the weekend, but then it totally changed, and I have actually been, hi Heather, how are you? I've actually been almost bedridden for the last 2 days because of my head cold. So I know I sound awful, but I put makeup on today so I would feel better, and I got out and ran some errands this morning, so I'm feeling better, but I'm still kind of sick. So bear with me. So I'm so excited because today is so interesting. So I was talking about how I've been sick for about a week since last Wednesday, really last Tuesday night. I've been sick, and it's been up and down. So I felt a little bit better, and then I felt worse, and over the weekend I felt okay, but I'm so behind. And it's interesting how quickly we get out of our routines. And when I posted the thing today about Straight Talk, I said we're going to talk about habits. I don't love the word habits. To me, a habit is something that you do. It's like biting your nails, or I don't know what other bad habits you have. Bad habits like biting your nails and picking at your fingers, things like that. I always think of finger things because I know a lot of men who bite their nails and chew on their fingernails and things like that. And I always say it's such a bad habit because what you're doing when you put your hands up to your face is you're literally eating your power, because you become a child when you put your fingers in your mouth. And so that habits like that, bad habits like that. I'm not so much talking about bad habits like, you drink too much or you watch too much TV. Not those kinds of things, but things that are more automatic. To me, that when I think of the word habit, that's what I think of. I think of things that are automatic, that I'm unconscious of, that are things that really I do, but I don't necessarily I'm not awake to. And that's why I don't like the word habit, because to me, habit is something that's automatic that you're not thinking about. I always like to replace that word habit with routines. So being sick for the last week, I've really gotten out of my routines. I have gotten out of eating really well. I'm not eating terribly, but for the last week I've been struggling to track every day, and I'd rather just sleep and then eat a couple pieces of frozen pizza instead of something that's healthier for me, that kind of thing, because I just am not feeling good and I haven't been cooking great meals, that kind of thing. So I have a routine where I have a certain, I have this nutritional system. I have 2 shakes a day and a meal and 2 healthy snacks and like that. And so I've gotten out of that habit or routine. And what I notice is that for me right now, my health and my vitality is my foundational issue. Hi, Julie. It's good to see you. Is my foundational issue. I have this what I call this wheel of integrity. It's 8 different categories of all the things that are important to people. And you kind of grade yourself on where you are and how balanced you are in your life. And I know for me, that foundational issue of my health and vitality is the thing that I'm tackling right now. So everything I do is anchored in that. So if that goes off kilter, everything goes off kilter. So now this last week I've been sick. And being sick, my routines have gotten out of whack. And I notice that I'm behind in everything. And it's not just because I've been sick and I've been sleeping a lot and taking care of myself and that kind of thing. It's also because my integrity is out. Because that routine, that foundational set of routines that I'm normally doing, I stopped doing as consistently. And so I really want to look at for you guys, if you're looking at what is your number one thing right now that you're wrestling with, an area in your life where it really feels out of balance. For me, it's my health and vitality. So eating well, I want to lose another 85 pounds. I haven't really been putting all of my effort into my nutritional program and losing weight, and I've just kind of stalled out and been maintaining for quite some time. So my integrity is out in that area. And so what happens is my life gets shifted and it gets out of balance. So for you, what are some of those areas? The 8 areas that I often cut, let's see if I can think of them off the top of my head. The 8 areas I commonly think of are career or retirement. Maybe you're retired, so it'd be career and retirement, health and vitality, your physical environment. For me, I'm telling you, you can always tell if I had an amazing coach once say to me that your physical environment is completely linked to your integrity. The first time, hi Mindy, the first time that you start, something gets skewed and you're feeling a little out of integrity, your physical environment goes right out the window. There ends up being piles of clothes that need to be folded, or your house is dirty, or whatever. Your desk is messy, your work in piles, that kind of thing. So for me, so those 8 things: family and friends, physical environment, career / retirement, finances. Let's see what else. Love, relationship, health and vitality. We said that one. And then there's 2 more that I can't think of off the top of my head, but I'll post a link to, kind of that PDF, or I'll post the PDF in the comments below so you can kind of look at that and you can do this graph. And it's a neat little graph to see, like, where are you out of balance? So for me, health and vitality is my foundational issue. So what is your foundational issue? Like, if that one thing isn't working in your life, then pretty much everything else goes to pot. Now, that's true for all of those. Like, in order to have a balanced life, you really need to manage level quality in all of those. But for me, health and vitality, when that goes out the window, everything else ends up kind of going down the slide with it. So what I've noticed is back to that conversation about habits, is the key to success is having really clear black and white habits that you can get into, that when you have been like out of circulation, for me, because I've been sick for a week, that you can go, oh, all I need to do is get back into this set of routines to then have success in that area of life. And already, just since yesterday, I've been back into those routines. And even if I'm not doing them 100%, at least I'm doing them 80%. And that gets my integrity back in, so I'm feeling more balanced and I'm not quite so overwhelmed. So I want to just invite you guys to look at, what is it when you're looking at your life, what area for you, when that area is skewed? A lot of times for people, it's finances. If their finances are messed up, then their relationship, their marriage is suffering, their other relationships are suffering, they have a lot of stress, so their health and vitality is low, that kind of thing. Hi, Lynn, it's good to see you. So what area for you of those that you can think of, or maybe you have something off the top of your head that that I didn't mention, that is an area for you, that when that area is out of integrity, or you're not doing those things that make you successful, that everything else kind of feels like, it's not working. So focus on that area. And then I'm going to invite you to look at what, not habits, again, because I don't love that word habit, but when you're out of integrity and you feel like you're suffering in your life, and that kind of foundational piece isn't really, that foundational issue that we're talking about. For me, again, I said it was health and vitality. That what are the routines? What's the systematic approach, literally a systematic approach that you can take to your life by creating routines that every day you do those routines? And what happens is the power of that routine and that discipline pulls you into being successful in that area of your life, and then it bleeds out onto everything else. So just like for me, being sick for the last week, my routines have kind of gone to pot with my healthy eating. And not completely, but just I'm not being as rigorous as I need to be. The minute that I put that in on yesterday, on Monday, now everything else is starting to kind of fit back into space, and I'm feeling better. I'm not so overwhelmed, that kind of thing. So it's really important. Routines, you cannot underestimate the power of routines in your life. So what are the routines that you do? Maybe you don't do any routines. I know people, really wacky, crazy, successful people that don't even have a calendar. They keep everything in their head and they just kind of do what they do. And I always say, oh my gosh, if you're this successful with that little amount of management and productivity as far as calendar and time blocking in your life, imagine what you could produce if you were actually managing your time effectively. It's really absolutely mind-blowing, to be honest with you. So think about, what is that foundational area that you have? What's the thing that really, it's the thing that if you get it right, it bleeds into everything else. And then create some routines, and nothing like major. It doesn't have to be like 10 things a day. It really, for me, it's meal planning for the week. That's one thing that really works for me. And then my 2 shakes a day, 2 snacks, and a healthy meal. So if I'm doing those things, then I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to feel effective and vital in the rest of my life. So that's what's really, really important. And that routine actually will bleed, the success in that routine will bleed into everything else. And you can set up those same kind of routines in any of those categories. Friends and family. Maybe you have relationships in your family that are incomplete right now. You have people you're not talking to or you're upset with. Get those relationships complete. Set it up, have a conversation with them, and forgive them. And then set it up so that maybe, let's say it's your mom, you're setting up a weekly call with your mom on Sundays, and you put that into your calendar, and that's a routine that keeps that relationship working. So anytime that you have something in your life that you're suffering about that's not working, I'm going to assert that if you look at it, that it's a lack of habit to give you success. But again, I don't like that word, so we're going to say routine. And a routine can be created. You know, to me, a habit is something, again, that's automatic. So if you are creating a routine for success and you are vigilant with that, what happens is that success builds on itself in every area of your life. So start with one thing today. Pick one area of your life that you are going to make one routine. It doesn't even have to be a ton, maybe 2, 3, but just a couple, max, no more than 3, at least one routine that you're going to take that on today. And it's an area of your life where you're struggling right now. You're out of integrity, a relationship that is broken. Maybe it's something that you promised to do weeks ago, but you didn't handle. Maybe it's something that you forgot about and you remembered, yesterday, and you need to get that into integrity by communicating about it and then putting something in your calendar so that it reminds you every time you need to do it. But automatizing, it's hard to think of words. Automatizing some of those things that feed you and make you healthy, and feed you spiritually, I'm talking about, not like physically feed you, but that feed you spiritually and mentally, will really help you just be able to conquer your day. I just started this new meditation program, and it's an app called Headspace. So check that out. I have an iPhone, and I use it on an iPhone, but I assume you can use it on anything. It's great. Like, I'm always talking to people about how meditation and just like being mindful makes a huge difference in their lives. And one of the things that I've started doing, because of a friend of mine, gave me this great idea, and she's using this Headspace app, and it's just a couple minute meditation, and it builds every single day. And it's so great. I start my day with this, and it's a great way to anchor yourself in what's important so that you don't wake up into chaos and just keep going. So that's another routine that you might want to look at that will help you anchor yourself in what's important, is a morning routine. So many of us, the alarm goes off, we hit snooze, we resist it, it's horrible, it's Monday, it's the week after daylight savings, I don't feel good, la la la. And then what we do is we just fall into our day, and we end up going to work, and the roads are closed, or people are acting like idiots, and you get mad and you're swearing at them, and you've got road rage, and you get to work and there's stuff backing up, and a client wants something that you can't really deliver in the time frame they want it, and they're being unreasonable, and then the day just gets out of control. But what happens when you set up a morning routine, and this is something that you do every single day, is if you set up a morning routine, it anchors you in what's important. It anchors you in your family. It anchors you in your priorities. Hi, Dave. It's good to see you. It anchors you in the things who you want to be for the day. Because here's the thing. All of those things that I just talked about, daylight savings time, being tired, being sick, a road being closed, idiot drivers, all of those things are circumstances around you. And really, when you look at those circumstances, they have very little to do with you and who you're being. And a routine, when it's used correctly, actually calls you into being someone that isn't natural, that isn't automatic. That's why I don't like that word habit, because a routine is something that's intentional and created to pull you into being better and bigger and more joyful and more fulfilled than you normally would be in an automatic way. So that's your challenge this week. It's actually 2 challenges. 1, I want you to create a morning routine that you can anchor yourself in. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be 3 minutes of prayer, 3 minutes of meditation. It could be getting up in the morning and having coffee at the table, making sure you're up early enough that you have 10 or 15 minutes sitting at the table, reading, having a cup of coffee. Maybe sitting on your patio if you live somewhere warm, drinking a cup of coffee, being in nature. Whatever it is, something in the morning. I know somebody that loves to get up in the morning and run. And that's his sort of communal time where he runs and that's what he loves to do. You know, not me. I'm not an exerciser in the morning. I'm not an exerciser anywhere yet, anytime, but maybe that'll be a routine I'd create soon. But anyway, so to create that morning routine that actually sources you and drives you, creates you, calls you to be somebody different for the day. And then the second thing is to look at an area right now where you're suffering. And again, I'll post that PDF below. Create an area identify an area where you're suffering, and then create a routine, or 2 or 3, no more than 3, that will actually have you be able to handle that and get successful in that area. You know, I read a great quote on Facebook earlier today, and it was something in the something very similar to this, and I'll look for it and then I'll repost it because I'm going to say it not great. That if there's something that you're complaining about, tell me one thing you can do to fix it. If you can't tell me one thing you can do to fix it, then you shouldn't be complaining about it. And I think that that's very powerful. So much of our lives is spent wasted complaining about things that we don't like in our lives. And what we could be doing instead is creating possibilities to solve those problems. We spend way too much time complaining in our lives. So I'm going to invite you to this week do something about those 2 areas. Source yourself in a great morning routine that has you wake up and get grounded in what's important to you. And number 2, find an area in your life where you're suffering, you feel like you're out of balance. It might be something that you often struggle with and that is kind of a foundational issue for you, and create 1 to 3 routines that you can do on a daily or weekly basis that will actually have you be able to affect change in those things, because your routines are the key to success. Every single person I know that is successful, and I've coached millionaires, people that have sold 10 to 12 different businesses, those people, every single one of them has routines that they don't just wake up into however they feel and be that for the day. They create routines where they wake up and however they're feeling, they cause something different, they be powerful, and they move forward in their lives. So routines are the source of all your success. It's so simple, but so many of us just spend time complaining instead of doing something about the things in our life where we're struggling. So anyway, thanks for being with me today. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I will post that PDF shortly in the comments below. Look for it, and it will give you a great little table on how to look at what areas in your life are out of balance and give me some feedback on it. It's a new thing that I just created. I did it in another format before. It was called a balance wheel, but I like this one a lot better. So I'd love to get your feedback on it. Make it an amazing week.